did anybody watch the program this past Wednesday before we go?
Well, Jim, let's go to the ratings. AEW Dynamite, June 25th, 2025. To answer your question from earlier, according to WrestleTix, 2,370 tickets distributed in Kent, Washington from 8 to 10:08 p.m.
Now, wait a minute. Okay, hold on here a second, though, because I swear, wait a minute. They did 2 shows, didn't they? They did 2 shows there in Seattle at that particular location. And one of those drew 1,800 people.
Outside of Seattle.
And how far outside, by the way?
I
Is
don't
it
know.
one of these deals like it's 70 miles or what?
Kent, Washington. I don't know where that is.
Well, that's Kent, Washington. They said Seattle on the graphic. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. I got something.
It is part of the Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue metropolitan area.
Okay, June 21st, it was the Collision and Ring of Honor tapings in Kent, Washington that did 1,894. And then the Dynamite taping did 2,370. So together, put that together, that's about 4,200. That's about 1/3 of the amount of people that fucking WWE did on Raw the other night. But go ahead.
Well, let's go to the numbers from 8 to 10:08 p.m. On average, watched by 613,000 viewers.
Ouch! We are back to reality. And now, I still, otherwise than the curiosity factor, will let other people figure out why that an extra 100 and some thousand people watched last week, but the tournaments are all done and over with, right? Did they have any, just they had one competition-free week and then, boy, they got killed with high-rated programs, or did they just go back to normal without being in Mexico for a big show?
Maybe a mix of things. It was also the NBA draft, which is a big deal on ESPN. But let's go to Tony's draft. These are the quarter hour.
It's getting a little drafty in here now. We can't even fucking fight the draft now. I guess that's a strange way of phrasing that, but go ahead.
Well, these are the quarter hours. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. The Mercedes Moné, Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa ramp angle, the Young Bucks backstage promo, and the start of Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay versus Blake Christian and Lee Johnson with picture-in-picture. 643,000 viewers.
Ouch. Okay. Not only are they back down to normal on their average, but that's one of the lower starts in recent memory, is it not?
It's considerably off the trend, which is slightly above 700,000, so yes, it is.
But in looking at it in a positive light, they're not going to drop as far as normal. They can't.
Well, we go to quarter 2, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. Continuation of Swerve and Ospreay versus Blake and Lee. The post-match with the Young Bucks. A recap. An ad break. The Young Bucks and Don Callis family backstage angle. And the start of Trent Beretta versus Kota Ibushi. 576,000 viewers.
Wow. Okay. That is 2460. That's 67,000. It's not as much as they usually lose from 1 to 2, but now they've got to come back up at some point in this show just to make their average. Or is it going to come back up now that people are convinced the Bucks are off their screen, or what?
Well, we go to quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The continuation of Beretta versus Ibushi, the post-match with Okada, the Jon Moxley backstage promo, an ad break, and the AR Fox Ricochet backstage angle.
Good Lord.
608,000 viewers.
Well, they're doing everything they can to run the people off, but they got back 32,000 again. Okay, we're safe from the Buckaroos now? Was that the thought?
I don't know. We go to quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. the continuation of, or actually, I guess the start of, Fox and Ricochet versus Jet Speed with picture-in-picture ads, and the Jet Speed Hurt Syndicate live angle for the start of it. 623,000 viewers.
Okay, we're going in the right direction again. Now the Hurt Syndicate are coming up. I would think that would mean maybe at the top of the hour, they're going to gain a few.
Well, you mentioned the top of the hour, the big 9 o'clock hour, quarter 5, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The continuation of Jet Speed and the Hurt Syndicate's live angle, now with Mark Briscoe, and an ad break. 644,000 viewers.
And they now officially, by 1,000 people, the top of the hour at 9 o'clock is better than the first quarter. That never happens. Never happens.
I think it happened last week.
Well, then it never happens until the last 2 weeks. But think about that.
What was last week? It was MJF and Mystico.
But for years, the first number was always bigger than every other number on the show by 50,000, 70,000, 100,000, whatever, because it was always in the 8s, and then it was in the 7s. Now it's in a 6. 6s, so they're not losing as much, but they're coming back and doing 1,000 people better than the start at the top of the hour, and that's not usually heard of.
Well, again, 10 million people on Max, but let's now go to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. Roderick Strong versus Mark Briscoe versus Konosuke Takeshita versus Bandito with picture-in-picture. 620,000 viewers.
Well, that's not as bad as it could have been. They are still, there's 2 quarters previously that were lower than that.
Well, we go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. Adam Cole's backstage promo. Athena versus Thunder Rosa versus Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander.
I don't know how long I can go without seeing you.
Picture-in-picture ads, and the post-match with Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta. 623,000 viewers.
So they're fairly steady there in the going home stretch. We've only got 1 quarter and an overrun. Can Frank bring it home?
Well, we go now to quarter 8. I remind you, 8-minute overrun. 9:45 to 10 p.m. A recap, an ad break, the FTR and Stokely Hathaway backstage promo, and the start of the Beast Mortos versus Hangman Adam Page with picture-in-picture. 582,000 viewers. 8-minute overrun with the Bucks and the Death Riders and Will Ospreay and the Ops. 579,000 viewers.
Well, again, looking on the positive side, for the first time I can recall, quarter 8 had 6,000 more viewers than quarter 2. But then they fooled those people who had bailed out specifically so they wouldn't have to watch the Bucks, and the Bucks came back at the end. So the Bucks, the overrun, the Bucks get the 3 lowest, the 2. It will be fair, the 2 lowest quarter hour ratings of the bunch.
It's every time. It's the Bucks and it's the Moxley stuff. If they could only find someone to program the Hurt Syndicate and MJF with that mattered, you'd have something, because they're the only thing that ever pops a number. But that was Dynamite.